Tech by Tips.
Hello and welcome to another Tech by Tips video. In today's video we're going to do another video request, and let's look at this. It comes from FabZ1817, and it says, "These videos have been amazing, helping me set up a home media server. Thank you so much. Any chance of an Unpackerr tutorial?" So let's cover that. Unpackerr, or rather GitHub, can be found in github.com/unpackerr/unpackerr. And if we go here, it says that it is an application that extracts the downloads for radar, sonar, lidar, and radar, and or a watch folder, and deletes the extracted files after import. And this is an application that has been released about 43 times. That's good. That's good progress right there. And it has 16 contributors so far. It's a small amount of contributors, but it seems like this application is doing its job properly, and it's a pretty simple application, so that kind of makes sense. It's written in Go mainly, a little bit of shell. And if we go into the GitHub here in the details, we can see that Unpackerr basically is an application that does what its name says. It unpacks. So if you get, for example, a zip file or a RAR file or something like that, it is able to extract all those contents out of those packages so that then your arrs can consume that content and process it properly. So if you see here, it says, it runs as a daemon on your seed box, and it checks for completed downloads, and it extracts them so that the other applications may do the importing. And it says that tars, rars, zips, 7-zips, gzips, all of that. So that's really good. Even ISOs, that's even amazing, honestly. And yeah, it has a website that you can go to see details about it. So you can go to unpackerr.zip, and it takes you here. And if you click here on the documentation installation, then you find details like, for example, a Docker Compose file example. So that's basically all that we need. So let's get to this. Let's get this working on our NAS. So the first thing that we need to see here is that it mounts a volume that is reading where our downloads are. So we only need to give it one folder. That's nice. And then it just has other details, like the application URL and the API key for the different applications that we want to set up. So let's go ahead. We already have our downloads folder in the NAS, but we need to create a folder for this project. So we'll go into the projects and create Unpackerr. And on the configs, that we shouldn't have to put anything. So that's all basically that we need when it comes to folders. However, if we go in here, even though it's not shown in the Docker Compose file, if we go into the application configuration, we're going to see that it makes references to us having to set up a config file with some details. And that exists within the /config directory in the container. So we do have to create a folder for the container where we store the configuration file, because we're going to have to do a configuration file. So let's go back into the NAS, but now into the configs where I have all the stuff for the containers. I'm going to do an Unpackerr, and then inside Unpackerr I'm going to create a config folder. So that's all we need to create here in the file folder structure. So now we can go ahead and create a project. So let's go into projects, create Unpackerr, and then we look for that folder we created here for the project, Unpackerr. Select that. And then we're going to create a Docker Compose file, and in there, alright, so I'm going to copy the original file here, but I'm going to make some changes to this. So we're going to go next, and I'm not going to run it, I'm just going to save it for now so that we can see it better on the screen. Okay, now we have Unpackerr. We can go into the YAML configuration, and I'm going to make some serious changes to this. Alright, so this is what our file should look like after the changes. So we're defining a service named Unpackerr, and we're using this image from Hotio, and we're going to name the container Unpackerr. We're defining the environment variables as our time zone, in my case America, New York, and the user ID is the 1026, which is the first administrator that I created in my NAS, and the group for that user is 100. And now for the volumes, we have specified the location where we created that config folder for Unpackerr to be mounted into the container in the /config directory. And this is very crucial, this is very important. The path where we store all of our media has to match exactly the path that you use in your arrs. So we're going to mount it to /HTPC because our arrs look for everything in the /httpc/downloads/completed/app name. So this is very important. It has to be exactly the same. And then we say we're going to restart this container unless we stop it manually. And I'm not going to use the user definition here because I've already put it here. And that's all that we need for the configuration here. And then we have to create the configuration file for the application. But in here we need to create a text file. So we're going to do a new text file and we're going to name this unpackerr.conf because that's a configuration file for Unpackerr. And in here we're going to open this file to edit it, and then we're going to put contents that I'm going to be showing right now. Actually, this file would be created if you run the container and you don't have the file, it'll create it. So you can do that. You can just run it first, let it create it, and then we can come here and make the changes. But I wanted to get it going from the very beginning. So this is what the file looks like. And the changes that we need to make here is we need to make sure that we go down here into the section that says sonar, radar, lidar, etc. And here we have to put the IP of the NAS and then the appropriate port that we have assigned to the application. This is in my case what I've been doing in the series. So the IP of the NAS, and for sonar 8082, for radar 8083, for lidar 8084, for radar 8086. Right? And then you have to put the API key for each one of those here. So that's something that we need to get from the other applications. Alright, we can go into the applications to grab that information. So first let's go into sonar. Let me remove this here. And in sonar we're going to log in. And then we're going to go into the settings UI to grab that, general, to get that API key. We copy that and then we go into the file here and we drop that. And we make sure that the path where we are putting all our downloads is correct in here. So it would be, in my case, HTTPC downloads completed sonar. We can validate that in here too. So if we go into download clients, we'll see that here. And now we're going to do the same thing, but with radar, which is 8083. So we go into that URL, we log into radar, and then we're going to be checking that the path is correct. So it's the same but radar. And we're going to get that API key from general. So we copy that and we put it here on the key for radar. We now move into lidar, which is 8084. So let's just change that. And there we go, lidar, and we are going to copy that API key once we see it. Here we go. We're going to put it here in lidar's API key. And we also check that the client is completed lidar. That's correct. So the next one would be 8086, which is radar. So let's go into that URL and radar. There we go. And we copy that API key from the settings general and we put it here, and we make sure that the completed radar is the same. We have the proper IP and port, we have the API keys, and we have the proper paths for each one of the applications here. We save the changes here, and we don't have to honestly do anything else. If you want to have a monitored folder where if you drop some zip file or something like that there, it'll automatically unzip it, you can put that in here, but I'm not going to use it honestly. That's the main things that we need to do here, which is this here. On the very top, I've left everything as it is, but you can read on the descriptions of what it's here. But yeah, it's up to you what you do with that. That's the main thing that I wanted to showcase. So now we have saved that. Now we should be able to then start the application Unpackerr. So we build it, and then we're going to be back when it creates the container and does everything, because it takes a little bit. Alright, it has created the container properly, so we can go here and check what it's doing. Go into the logs, and we can see here that it is starting. And here we go, we see that in the configuration it has a proper user and group. It has the right time zone. I did not enable the VPN. I did not enable other options that are available. And then it's executing other commands. Here we can see that it is successfully starting the service. And here we go. It has connected to sonar, radar, lidar, and radar using the values that we provided, and everything looks correct. So there's no problem there. It didn't find any thing here, like no passwords, and it's checking all the other configurations, and it said that for radar currently there's nothing in the queue and there's nothing that was retrieved. Same for lidar, sonar, and radar, because I honestly don't have anything in the lab. But if you had anything going on downloading, you would see it here in the queue, or if you have something already, then you would see retrieved. And here's where you would see like the updates of what the application is doing. So the application is working properly. Oh, another important thing to highlight here is that if you see the protocol that we're referencing for all of this is torrent, because usually that's the only way you find content that you need to extract, because applications like SAB and ZBD are able to automatically extract the contents of a zip file, so you only need this for torrents. So that's why it says protocol torrents. I think it's important for you to understand why it says that. And yes, at this point the application is running properly, and I don't have anything to test it. I've even tried to see for content that comes in a zip file, but I cannot find a torrent that has a zip file in it. So unfortunately I'm not going to be able to show it to you in the test. But if it does happen to you that you download something that is in a zip file or something similar, then the application is going to be able to do it, because it can monitor the queue from your applications and see when you have retrieved something, and then it is mapping the location where you're storing all this stuff, so it is able to go into that specific path where something was downloaded for one of those applications and extract the contents of that zip file there, and then your application will be able to consume that. So that's how this application works. It's actually very simple, and that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so, and it helps us grow, it helps us reach more public, and hopefully we can get to the point where we can get sponsorship and things along those lines, because as you know, I am not monetizing the channel. You should not have been receiving any ad from YouTube on my video, and I'm doing that on purpose. I rely entirely on your support, so feel free to donate using the link in the description below if you find my content useful. You can also donate using Bitcoin if you like. There's a Bitcoin wallet in the description also. Remember, you can leave me comments in the comment section. I make all of these video request videos because of comments of things that you would like to see in the channel, so feel free to comment if there's any issues that you have. I also try to reply to you as soon as possible and help you out. So that's gonna be it for this one. I'll see you on the next video.